One of the things that I've noticed, especially these past couple of weeks, is that everybody loves an underdog story until the underdog becomes a Grand Slam champion. These past few days and even the week before has to be some of the most insane 180s I've ever seen in the video game industry. And it all is revolving around a few developers in the gaming industry, and especially about the amount of awards being won by Expedition 33. People on Twitter and the internet doing absolute backflips and 180s, trying to go through and lambast a game that they also liked previously, all because the game had the gall and audacity to use some form of AI back in 2022 for a placeholder art, or people going around saying that they were going to go down the sewer slide simply because a video game won way too many awards and they're doing anything they can to take that game down a peg. The entire backlash to Expedition 33, in my opinion, has been nothing more than performative, as we've seen receipt after receipt being pulled on people directly going around and doing these exact same things. But it gets even crazier, because it turns out that awards that were given to Expedition 33 and the Sandfall Interactive team are now being stripped away, all because they decided to use a little bit of AI. And no, I'm not kidding. According to Insider Gaming, the Indie Game Awards disqualifies Clair Obscur Expedition 33 due to generative AI usage. And I want to make this incredibly clear. I'm not a super fan of AI, especially what it's done to the hardware side of the gaming industry, making RAM and computer parts incredibly expensive to even afford, and dare I say pushing the industry into cloud-based services. But what I've noticed is this: people for some reason have been doing everything they possibly can to virtue signal their actual ideas on AI usage in the video game space, even though we've seen developer after developer after developer talk about AI use in their development pipeline, and these are all developers that people have been loving since the very beginning due to their artwork and what they've done in the gaming industry. And that really is the funniest part about all of this, watching people now twist themselves into pretzels, trying to go ahead and hold developers to a standard, even though these exact same people are getting angry about AI usage on a website that has its own AI. But I think the crazier part is what actually happened with the Indie Game Awards and E33 as well, because when you break down the timeline, things get to be a little spicy, and dare I even say, a bit questionable. In an announcement made on Saturday afternoon, 6-1 Indie, the creators of the show, said its removal comes after the discovery after voting was done and the show was recorded. Saying, quote, "The Indie Game Awards have had a hard stance on the use of generative AI throughout the nomination process and during the ceremony itself," the statement reads. "When it was submitted for consideration, representatives of Sandfall Interactive agreed that no generative AI was used in the development of Clair Obscur Expedition 33. In light of Sandfall Interactive confirming the use of generative AI on the day of the Indie Game Awards 2025 premiere, this does disqualify Clair Obscur Expedition 33 from its nomination." I want you guys to stop and take a breath, especially on that last statement. The fact that the Indie Game Awards are saying that Sandfall Interactive confirmed generative AI usage in their game on the day of the Indie Game Awards is honestly a flat-out lie, and we're going to prove that as well today in this video. The thing is, you got to stop and ask yourself, okay, Alex, well, if they found generative AI, what did they do? Did they use AI to replace actual artists? Did they go through and have AI basically just develop the entire game? Did they go into ChatGPT and type, "Make me a French JRPG style called Clair Obscur," and make everybody angry about it with the most banging soundtrack you've ever heard? No, they didn't do any of that. Do you want to know what they used AI for? You're going to be shocked when you find out. Tyler Keener on Twitter said this: "Stripping Expedition 33 of Game of the Year because of AI art on a lamppost is one of the most ridiculous things I have ever heard. Indie Game Awards have lost touch with reality of generative AI." That's right. They used placeholder artwork on a lamppost that was done in game. And the funniest part about all of that is this placeholder artwork was missed during QA, and 5 days after release was actually patched out, and the correct proper artwork done by an actual person was placed in the game instead. That has to be the most ridiculous actual concept of people trying to lambaste a video game because of AI usage. It really goes to show that no one actually knows what generative AI in fact actually is, and people are going around just getting angry about the words AI in the space altogether, even though we have direct quotes from people like Kojima themselves saying that they're using AI in their workflow. Larian themselves are using AI in their workflow as well, especially for, you guessed it, placeholder artwork. All of this stuff really is nothing in terms of the grand scheme of things. They're not going around and generating an entire game with generative AI. What they're doing is saying, oh, we're just going to use this as a quick way to do placeholder artwork and then replace it with the actual art from our actual artists. There's no difference between using that and actually just Googling an image and putting that on the actual lamppost. And that's what drives me crazy about this entire thing. People are acting as if the entire game is AI slop because of some artwork on an actual lamppost, when in reality, there's no difference between this and Googling an image of a newspaper and placing it on there instead. That's why this is so insanely absurd. But in fact, it gets even worse, because this entire shitstorm all happened because of an article that was being passed around incessantly online the past few days. In fact, here it is right now. It's from a website called El País, and it says this: the low-cost creative revolution, how technology is making art accessible to everyone. Low-budget films like The Flow and The Brutalist and video games like Clair Obscur are competing with major productions thanks to accessible tools like AI and free software. Do you want to know what the best part about this article is? It wasn't published a few days ago. It wasn't published during the Indie Game Awards. It was published in July of 2025, literally 5 months before all of this came out. And George Modla was the one who posted the actual article after the interview. So in my opinion, somebody is 100% lying in this. And the crazier part is, I know this is the article because there was an addendum being added to the actual article itself just over the past weekend. And here's what it had to say. Following the publication of this article, Sandfall Interactive wishes to provide the following clarifications. The studio states that it was in contact with El País on April 25th, 3 months prior to this publication. During these exchanges, Sandfall Interactive indicated that it had used a limited number of pre-existing assets, notably 3D assets sourced from the Unreal Engine marketplace. None of these assets were created using artificial intelligence. Sandfall Interactive further clarifies that there are no generative AI created assets in the game. When the first AI tools became available in 2022, some members of the team briefly experimented with them to generate temporary placeholder textures. Upon release, instances of placeholder textures were removed within 5 days to be replaced with the correct textures that had always been intended for release, but were missed during the QA process. So this entire thing, this absolute entire thing, now falls onto the actual hands of people trying to comb through and find whether or not any AI was used in terms of a pipeline of production. This is how far people are going to go through and trying to shit on a game that won too many awards for their own liking. People going insane, combing through every little thing they possibly can to go ahead and diminish what E33 actually did in the gaming industry and how they performed in the actual industry as well, literally putting everybody to shame and going around and proving that by simply having a good idea with a good video game, you could make a generational game, and even one game that crosses so many other boundaries for people who never even liked turn-based games in the first place. Instead of celebrating what this game has done, people are so incensed and angry that this game won so many awards, they're trying to pick and choose and cherry pick every opportunity they can to shit on this game in general. But I'm not the only one that thinks this as well. Take a look. The Sasha Express on Twitter said this: they had awarded E33 Game of the Year after the AI controversy blew up, meaning they did no research about it, but then switched up to preserve their image. The original version of the article, which blew up recently, has been publicly available for months. This revoke is performative. Sasha is absolutely 100% correct. This revoke by the Indie Game Awards is absolutely performative, and it also happened just a few days after as well, the Larian backlash of their AI usage in their game development pipeline, simply for doing the exact same thing that E33 did, where they had one set of textures as placeholder textures, which was also then replaced by the proper artwork. The Indie Game Awards are doing this from a completely performative stance, people trying to shit on E33 for using generative AI, even though it's not how that even works or what that word means. And this entire backlash is going to prove that at some point people will in fact make any excuse for their game, even if it does use generative AI, simply because it's the game that they want to win. And I guarantee you, if it's found out that games like Hollow Knight Silksong or other games as well that these people enjoy also use generative AI, you're going to be seeing an entirely different tune altogether. But you know what? I'm not the only one calling this out, because even people who are staunch AI critics are defending E33 and Sandfall Interactive as well. Is This a 3D Model on Twitter said this: regarding Claire Obscure, we believe sometimes we have to pick our battles. A few placeholder assets that were immediately patched out does not make an entire game AI slop. Our account is about recognizing, appreciating, and highlighting the strengths of human creativity. If a game is 99.99% a human-created labor of love, we do not believe a 0.1% of Gen AI, if it even qualifies as that much, is worth slandering the entire game over. Doing that gives permission to AI boosters to do what they do best: take credit for things they had no hand in. They now take a game that was 99.9% a human-crafted labor of love and say, look at the power of Gen AI to make these incredible games possible, when it had no meaningful impact at all. Obviously, we would always prefer if it wasn't used, and the internet is not a place that handles nuance well. But please keep this in mind for the future. We do not believe in witch hunts or hate directed at the hard work of artists or developers. And 3D Model, again, in my opinion, is absolutely correct. This is, in fact, nothing more than an actual witch hunt to go ahead and knock Expedition 33 down a peg, simply to go through and make people feel better about themselves because of a game that they didn't like or they didn't play, winning far too many awards. And you're saying to yourself, Alex, how can you prove this? How do you know that's even correct? Are you sure people are doing this not to prove that the game used AI and to really put them in their place properly? Or are they doing it out of just their own self-preservation because it's a game that they don't like? Which one do you think? We're going to find out right now. Krista Hakuri says this: giving E33 best art direction, them having them use AI, blowing up right after, was done to manufacture consent for Gen AI usage across all the gaming industry, by the way. Nobody tell them. Nobody tell them what the gaming industry has been doing since 2022. Their favorite developer? They're using AI. The game they love also probably used AI. And I think the funniest part about all of this is trying to sit here and downplay the art direction of E33 simply because of some placeholder textures on a lamppost really is insane. Are you telling me that this was not looked at or done by a human person? Really? That's what you're going to tell me right now? Oh, the entire game looks like a fucking painting. You're going to tell me, yes, that was all AI. That did everything themselves. Honestly, really? This is literally somebody who's probably never played the game, never understood the game in the first place, what it's trying to actually represent, or what the developers even did in the game at all. I mean, Jesus Christ, the entire game is literally you walking into paintings. They had to do something. You're not going to sit here and have AI do it all by its own. This truly is an absolutely ridiculous thing to see across the board, but this wasn't the only one either. Take a look. Here's Agony, Five Nights at Freddy's Movie 2 spoilers, saying this in all caps: Expedition 33 losing its awards, I used to pray for times like these, with 15,000 likes and 1.1 million views. This is not about being correct about what Gen AI usage is in video games. This is merely about a witch hunt, simply because these people don't like Expedition 33 winning all these awards, even though we've clearly seen that so many people throughout the entire year were glazing E33 on a consistent basis, yet turning around in the moment there was some sort of AI texture placed in the actual game for a placeholder, they lose their absolute goddamn minds, and now the game is considered AI slop, even though that's not the case at all, because if that person actually played the fucking game, they'd realize there's no way AI would even in fact make this game the way it is right now. And that's the craziest part about all of this, the actual hypocrisy and insanity of people's behavior simply because a game did far too well. In fact, friend of the channel Kelsky said this: Larian admits to AI usage. E33 used AI. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 allegedly used AI. Activision is using AI. Xbox is using AI. GTA 6 definitely is using AI. Indie studios with small teams probably use AI in some capacity. The chances your favorite studios use AI is extremely high, even if they don't say it. Hell, the chances that Valve is using AI to help with Deadlock and Half-Life 3 development is probably true. I'm genuinely curious what everyone's move is going to be moving forward. Are you going to boycott all future games? Stop playing these current games that used it? Quit gaming altogether? I hate generative AI as much as the next guy. I'm curious what the future actually will be for gaming as a hobby, though. And Kelsky makes fantastic points. All this is going to come down to a head of people making excuses of their favorite developer and or game using AI to wipe everything away, to basically sweep for the game as well, simply because it's the game that they liked. And that's really what's going on here. This is nothing more, again, than a performative witch hunt for people to go ahead and shit on game developers and or people that are using AI, in my opinion, properly for placeholder art or for concept ideas or for mood boards or anything else along that nature. We all use AI in some capacity, whether you like it or not. And the thing is, it's all about whether or not that AI is in fact replacing artists inside of game development studios, or if it's being used properly as what it's intended to be, an actual tool in the first place. And this is, in my opinion, where things are going to be far more convoluted and people are going to avoid the actual nuance and conversation in the topic. Going around and saying any use of AI whatsoever is prohibited in video games and it's not going to be awarded, well, then basically you're just going to wipe away every single video game practically ever made, because at some point AI is in fact done. One of the best shooters ever made, Fear, in my opinion, has some of the best, get ready for this, enemy AI you could ever have in a video game whatsoever at all. The way they react, the way they move, the way things are done, that is in fact AI, and AI has gotten better over time simply in that space in general. Is that going to disqualify games that use AI for enemy movement and placement? Or is the AI usage only a problem simply because it's manufactured outrage on Twitter, simply because artists feel that they're going to go ahead and get replaced by their jobs? Again, if we're seeing studios like Larian hire more concept artists, if we're seeing other developers as well talk about AI and workflow rather than actually replacing, that is exactly how AI should be used, as a proper tool. And that's really the entire problem about this. The lines are going to get blurred even more. And the difference is whether or not a studio is using generative AI, but if they're using it in the proper space as a tool, like I said before, rather than an actual replacement. And it gets even crazier because a fan favorite is also using AI. According to Culture Crave on Twitter, CD Projekt Red boss Michael Nowakowski was asked if AI could reduce headcount, saying, quote, "I don't imagine that. Our usage of AI is mainly in the productivity areas. The benefits are real, they're meaningful, but I'm unaware of such a situation where AI could sit down and make games. It's not going to be making The Witcher 5. That's right, it's not going to make The Witcher 5, but what it is going to do is increase productivity or make things easier for the team in specific tool sets or even placeholder artwork. People who are going online right now looking for every possible witch hunt are going going to find themselves painted into a corner. They're going to have to realize in some way that they made a mistake simply because, like I said before, the game that they like is going to use AI in some capacity. And when they do, receipts will be pulled. Oh, you didn't like when E33 used AI. Why are you okay with it with this game or The Witcher or GTA 6 or any other indie game that you're trying to sit your heart on right now for this generation of gaming? That's what I'm talking about here, is that this is nothing more than absolutely performative. Because if anybody sat down with logic in their brain for 5 seconds and said, these developers of Sandfall Interactive made a video game that basically eclipsed everything in the gaming market right now for a fraction of the budget simply because they had the proper tools to do so. How is that a bad thing when one of the best gaming experiences of the year was given to you simply because developers decided to get together and actually make the game properly? And I want to make this again very clear. AI for me as a PC gamer has been an absolute disaster. The cost of RAM just exponentially increasing 3x, 4x is honestly insane. Trying to find CPUs, GPUs, and not getting hit by scalpers is absolutely ridiculous. And the chip shortage is going to get even worse. So yes, I'm not a fan of what AI has done to the gaming industry, but I'm also not someone who's completely incapable of understanding how AI can be used as a tool, as a proper tool for smaller development studios to make things easier and make their pipeline better and more effective and more able to make the games that they want to make. The problem that I have with AI in game development is when giant studios like Activision or even companies like EA use generative AI when they clearly have the funds, the capabilities, and the options to go through and hire the people themselves to make that artwork. Instead, just feeding that AI machine slop to spit it back out to then sell it to you as an actual microtransaction cosmetic. That's where I have the issue. But we didn't have that with E33, now did we? No, we had placeholder art that was missed and then replaced with the proper art done by people. And in my opinion, the virtue signaling is going to get worse before it in fact even gets better. And if these individuals online don't figure out and find some nuance in their argument or conversation, it's going to get even crazier as they twist themselves into a pretzel trying to argue for something that's really just going to be a ubiquitous part of their life and even game development in the future. Things are going to get worse before they get better. And when they do, I'll be here. But you know what? I want to hear what you guys have to say about this in the comments section down below. Do you think Sandfall Interactive using AI for placeholders and then replacing that artwork was something that was deserving of them losing that actual award? Do you think that the usage of AI in games isn't really as big as people say? Or are you completely staunch against AI or totally for it? I want to hear what you guys have to say. If you want to see more of this kind of content though, subscribe to the channel. If you want to see more of this kind of content, though, more PC port reviews, gaming news, Steam Deck videos, fanboy content, and even hot takes in the gaming industry, subscribe to the channel. We're on our way to 100K. And I just want to say thank you guys so very much. If you want Discord access or most during live streams, become a YouTube member. It's as low as $1. If you don't want to spend the buck, don't sweat it. Just come on down Saturday nights, 8:45 p.m. Eastern, live right here on the channel as I get insulted by 800 people with AITTS. Trust me, you don't want to miss it. Saturday nights, 8:45 p.m. Eastern, live right here on the channel. With all that being said, though, thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you have a great one. And I'll see you gooners next time. Peace!